Fan Expo 2009 was held at the Metro Convention Center in Toronto. It boasted top artists, hundreds of niche product retailers, and of course fans. There were Final Fantasy fans, Star Wars fans, and some accurately proportioned DC fans. Chris Bachalo, the comic illustrator, was also present. After an autograph session, he was due at a sketching duel in 10 minutes. Rather than use that time to rest, he talked to us instead. What a nice guy. Now how about some details on this artist? 1965, he's born in Portage-la-Prairie, Canada. 1989, he earns a BA in graphic art at California State. 1990 marks his professional debut when he works with legend Neil Gaiman on Sandman. He moves on to Marvel in 1994, where he co-creates Generation X and later illustrates Uncanny X-Men. In 2000, Bachalo creates and publishes a pet project named Steampunk. But of course, the most important event in Bachalo's life comes in 2009, when he agrees to do this interview. Flip through any of his comics and you'll see that Chris Bachalo is without a doubt an escape artist.
I think escapism is one of the attributes in comics that attracted me to the medium to begin with. It's a place where I can let my imagination roam and have fun with. And it's working in the medium is something that gives me great pleasure, and being able to, again, use my imagination to explore different worlds, create new worlds, is one of the best parts of the job.
You have created a lot of new characters for different titles, comic titles. So what is the quintessential Chris Bachalo character, aesthetically and perhaps inside as well?
I think probably the best example would be Cannonball from X-Men, my recent run in X-Men. I think he's probably one of the characters that, if you look at him, there's a little bit of me everywhere you look in that character. As far as coloring, the style, the way he moves, the way he looks, I think that's a really good example of what I like. And I think with like in all the characters I create, I try to put a little bit of myself in them. And so if you look at a character like Penance from Generation X or a Chamber, there's a lot of common elements, but they're all, when I'm creating a character, I try to make them all a little bit different, a little bit interesting. And there's also a lot of elements into the design of the character that are both practical, but at the same time, they're elements that I really enjoy spending time with. And so when I'm working on books, the best time I have is working on characters that I've created. Books like Steampunk, Witching Hour, my recent run on X-Men, when I was able to, the editorial staff was terrific in letting me redesign some of the costumes in those characters. Those were the best books, the most fun I had on the titles that I worked with.
Going back to Cannonball specifically, did you design the logo on his chest? Yes. Looks like, is that really your initials on his chest?
Oh, I know. The C on the chest, I was actually thinking about a cannonball when I created it. So I wanted to create something round, and so you have the shape, but I also wanted to incorporate the letter C for cannonball. I was thinking about the idea that when he's coming at you really fast, what you see is a cannonball coming at you. I mean, if you were to ask me what my favorite book to work on over at Marvel, it would be X-Men, because there's so many great characters in that book. It's not so much, like for me, I'm not a huge fan of superheroes, and to me X-Men's more of like a sci-fi book, more like Terminator or Mad Max or something like that. And so that's what I really enjoy as far as genres are concerned.
There's one property called Steampunk that you created yourself, and you had a lot of editorial power. I mean, it's pretty much your project. Now, with Steampunk, you did 2 arcs, and now 3rd arc. People are waiting. Any plans to return to Steampunk?
Yes, Joe and I are flattered by the amount of attention that Steampunk is still getting, because I just created a website about a year ago, and almost daily people write to me and ask me about Steampunk and what's happening with it. They'd like to see the story finished, and so we're aware of the interest level, and we're flattered by it. And I think that in about a month, I think we're going to sit down and try and figure out what would be the best place to finish the storyline. So there's definitely definitely aware of that we haven't finished it yet, and we would very much like to complete the story.
Your signature on your illustrations has changed over the years.
Yes.
Can you give us a quick walkthrough of your favorites?
One of my biggest inspirations growing up as a kid was and getting in comics inspired me and to draw comics. My favorite artist was Michael Golden, and he was a person that experimented a lot with his signature. And so I thought, if I ever acquired any success in the business, that I would have fun doing that myself. So as I spend time in the industry and I get older and more experienced, and I move from style to style, I wanted to have fun with my signature. I mean, one of the fun parts that I had with the signature was when I was working with the inkers, that I'd incorporate their names into my names. We'd make a name that was unique to ourselves, like
Crescendo.
Crescendo, exactly.
Can you describe that one? It's a combination of...
It's Chris and Richard Friend. And Richard Friend, actually, I wanted to call it Christened, and Richard Friend came up with Crescendo.
One recurring comment on your work is that it's hard to differentiate characters from backgrounds. Like, the contrast isn't that great, but that is also one of your biggest praises, the density of your page.
That's something I enjoy. I'm aware of the criticism, so I try to address it. I think I've been a little bit more successful in trying to take care of that issue with the colors. I started coloring books about 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, and so I'm able to differentiate between the characters with colors more often, and so hopefully that's not so much an issue. But as far as the chaos is concerned, and throwing in a lot of people in the background, a lot of detail, it's something that I enjoy.
And it's very intentional.
Yes, it's very intentional. Yeah, I enjoy it a lot.
Can you describe 3 words that you would like associated with your art?
I would say 3 words that best describe my work are, let me think about this. That's a tough one.
No problem.
Really, how do I describe my work? This is actually the hardest question you could ask.
For an artist to look back on himself?
Because it's really more of an emotional experience to me, and it's hard to sum up in words. And I was always afraid someone's going to ask me. No one's ever asked me before how to describe the work, and so I'm really stuck for words. So 3 words. I think the best way to sum up my work would be as professional, emotional, and entertaining. It's a little bit cartoony. It's a little bit serious at the same time. Hopefully it's good and it's appealing, and I think the bottom line, the most important part about the work is I want it to be fun. That's the most important thing to me. When I'm doing the work, I'm creating work that I want to be fun for the people that are spending the money on the work, that when they see it, that it's worth their time and the hard work they put in to earn their money, and I want them to have a good experience with the material.